This is Brandon Turner, and you are listening to the Average Joe Finances Podcast.
If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you smash the like and subscribe buttons. If you're listening to our podcast, go leave us a 5-star review. All of our links can be found in the video description or show notes below. Hey, welcome back to the Average Joe Finances Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Cavagioni, and today's guest is Athena Brownson. And we were talking a little bit before I hit the record button. Actually, we had an awesome conversation. So I am super excited for what we're going to talk about today. So Athena, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. Like you said, it's already been an absolute blast speaking. And sir, I would say far from average, but hey.
I appreciate that. So I know a little bit about you now, but my audience doesn't. So if you could, can you share a little bit about yourself and tell us your story? Who is Athena Brownson?
That's a great question. I'm still trying to figure it out, honestly. But no. So my name is Athena. I'm located in Denver, Colorado now, but I was raised in a small mountain community just west called Breckenridge, Colorado. If you like skiing, snowboarding, mountain sports, you've probably heard of it. Dumb and Dumber was filmed there. That's kind of our claim to fame. But I was raised in the world of real estate and in the world of skiing. My dad was a professional speed skier. He was one of those nuts that went down the mountain as fast as he possibly could and got clocked for miles per hour. And that's really the world I was raised in. When I wasn't skiing, I was generally freezing cold following him on job sites. And in turn had a really negative idea of what real estate entailed because it was what my dad did. It was boring. I was cold. I didn't enjoy it, but I did pick up on the skiing portion. I believe I learned how to ski when I learned how to walk. I started in coaching programs from a very young age. And by the time I was 15 years old, I went professional at skiing. And basically that just means I'm getting sponsorships from different brands that pay for my travels, give me free gear. And of course, what I do well in a competition, I make a little bit of money. So from a very young age, I kind of learned these values of entrepreneurship. And also, I think the most important thing, the business school that I always wanted to go to was actually skiing. And I think a lot of athletes have that in common because really, everything about being an athlete taught me the principles of what it takes to be successful in business and especially in real estate. And that really came down to consistency, the art of just showing up when you say you're going to. And the accountability, if I did not show up when I said I was going to, as I'm sure you experienced being in the Navy, there were consequences. I might be hiking the mountain that day or doing burpees in ski boots or you name it. We did it, but it taught me the value of showing up and hard work and discipline and the idea that we don't know what we don't know. And if you don't have someone looking over what it is that you're doing, whether that's learning a new trick or looking at a line and skiing, or if it's looking at a deal, if it's learning how to understand real estate in general, we don't know what we don't know. So having someone that can look over what it is that you're doing and help point out those blind spots. So my background really unintentionally, I was very one-sided in thinking, okay, skiing was what I was doing. Little did I think about that it was also one of the most injury-prone sports. And after 9 knee surgeries and 2 broken necks, I would need to retire at 25 years old, so pretty young. And I had no idea what I was going to do after that whatsoever. And I didn't realize that the tools I had learned through coaching and through athletics were actually what were going to enable me to be successful in the future. So thank you, coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. What a story. I'm actually still writing some of this stuff down.
It's been a life.
Yeah.
And it just keeps getting wilder, I tell you.
Yeah. So, I mean, so just right off the bat, some of the things that you pointed out, I think is super important. You said something that I say to a lot of people all the time, like, I don't know what I don't know, right? Like, even in my current line of work, and even when I was in the Navy, it's like, we have a situation happening and they're like, hey, we need answers on A, B, C, and D. And it's like, well, hang on. Nobody's got the information yet. And I don't know what I don't know. So I can't act on something if I don't know what I need to know. Right. And I think
that's beautiful to be able to say.
Because that happen. I mean, that can be in any industry or field that you're in, right? You going into real estate, even though you went around with your dad when you were younger, and from the sounds of it, you kind of hated it, probably didn't really jump right in and say, okay, this is going to be great. You were kind of like, oh God, here we go.
I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah. So I can only imagine what that would have felt like. And then, yeah, you don't know what you don't know, especially getting into something like that. But what you did know, or what you had, a tool that you had in your tool belt, was discipline that you got from being an athlete and from being a skier, right? One, I'll just say I've never skied before in my life. I snowboarded once and I face planted and I said, yep, I'm good.
Been there, done that.
But not me. Two, speed skiing, out of the question. I don't think I would ever do that in my entire life. Even if give me the bunny slope and that's it. And I think I'll do that. But anyway, fast forward to when you got into skiing. Oh my goodness, 9 knee surgeries. And it's bad enough to break your neck once, because that could end everything. You broke your neck twice. So after the first time, what the heck made you put those skis back on and get back out there?
I say that about a lot of the things I did skiing, and I really attribute it to just being young and being able to heal really well.
Okay.
Because
that's fair.
As an athlete, we were trained that injury was part of the sport. And I looked around at those I was competing against, and they were going through similar things. I think I did maybe set a record for 9 knee surgeries, also set a record for speed skiing, and then never did it again. 11 years old, I went 87 miles an hour. So that was pretty cool.
Did you have lead strapped to the ski? Oh my goodness.
I know. I must have weighed like 60 pounds at the time. I was on maybe 170 centimeter skis, so nothing huge whatsoever. I mean, huge for an 11-year-old, right? So I've got that under my belt, but then I gracefully retired from speed skiing. What I learned about injury was that if I did A, B, C, and D really, really well, if I rehabbed and listened to everything that my coaches and doctors and physical therapists said, that I was going to come back faster and stronger than I was before. So it was almost formulaic. And again, it went down to discipline, where I knew that this was part of the endeavor that I was so addicted to and so in love with and so passionate about. I knew that this was going to be something that happened. And of course, I trained my body. I think about it now as someone that's not only a lot older than I was then, but fighting chronic illness. And what I used to do in a day makes me I can't even believe I used to accomplish that. Similar to probably what your schedule was. I would be up before 5 a.m., be at the gym at 5, warm up training from 5 to 7, be on the first lift at 8, ski from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with very little breaks, and then go to the gym for dryland training. So I was strong as can be, but at the same time, I was throwing myself off of 60 to 100-foot jumps, doing spins and backflips and going through the half pipe at a very high level. I competed in X Games, pretty much skied 300 days a year around the world. So we would fly down to the southern hemisphere when it was summer here so that we could hit their winter. And when you're skiing that many days out of the year, if you have an injury, especially with these neck surgeries that they do these days, you are pretty much good to go in 6 to 8 weeks, which is absolutely insane to say. Wow. But it was true. I remember my first neck surgery, and the pain that I had that was so unbearable was gone immediately after surgery. And my doctor said, nothing in there is going to move. You just need to make sure to strengthen what's around it. And that's a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
metaphor for life, but you just keep
I
up.
like that,
You get
100%.
pushed down, you get up, you keep going.
Yeah. Well, muscle memory and then also building up that
Yes,
muscle. So it sounds like definitely coaches have had a huge impact on you, even physical therapists, right? Making sure that you got
absolutely.
back up and got to where you needed to be. But I think one of the more important things that you're talking about in there is not just the coaches and the mentors and the physical therapists that were guiding you, it was your willingness to listen and execute what they said you needed to do because they,
Yeah.
especially when you're in the moment and you're like, oh, no, I can do this. I can do this. And they're like, hang on, you need to slow down. Like you just came back from this
Yes.
injury. You might feel good right now, but you're not 100% yet. So you actually stopping and listening to them is probably one of the keys that helped you bounce back as fast as you did. I mean,
I never realized
I
that.
wish I could listen like that because maybe my knee wouldn't be so jacked up right now if I would just listen to the doctor when he says, hey, stay off of it after we do this procedure. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And 2 days later, I'm back on it.
Thank you for pointing that out
Yeah.
because I don't know that I've ever acknowledged that, but you are right. In any arena where you're receiving coaching or mentorship or whatever it may be, the art of listening is something we all struggle with. But
Two
when
ears,
you're
one mouth.
exactly, and it's something that even I catch myself struggling with. But when it was game time, when it was time to show up for coaching and for my craft, you best believe I was listening, taking notes intently. And that is something that I carry on today. I mean, I've been in real estate 11 years now. And if I'm having lunch with someone that is in a position that I would like to be in the future. If I'm taking a class, if I'm meeting with one of my mentors, I will be vigorously taking notes the entire time and listening because we have so much access to information these days, and we have so many abilities to really mentor under anyone that we really admire through podcasting, through reading their books, through TED Talks, through public speaking, through just asking someone to have lunch with you. We have this incredible opportunity to learn, but you cannot learn if you're not in a place where you're willing to listen. And when you're willing to not only listen, but to accept what the information that it is that you're getting and actually figure out an action plan of how you're going to implement it into your life. Because that's really where growth happens, is when we're collaborating and when we're learning from one another. And I think we're living in a time where we're very fortunate to be able to have such an access to people and to information.
100%. Yeah, 100% agree with you there. I believe that this is probably something that you took with you into the real estate industry from your time as a professional athlete and skiing with just that ability that you had, not only to listen, but the other thing that you just said, and I wrote this one down too, is having an action plan and taking action.
Yes.
Because I feel like a lot of times there's so many people that will say, yeah, I want to do A, B, C, and D. I've been reading about this. I've been learning about this. I've been going to networking events and doing all this. And that's great. Yeah. Awesome. What are you doing now to actually go make it happen? When are you going to take
Amen.
action? Right. And a lot of people do, they get to the point where they get this fear of taking action.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Too.
First started investing in real estate. There's been times where
It makes it
I've
real.
missed out on good deals because I was just like, no, it's not a good time. Right.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like willing to step in and take that action. So I think that's super important, Athena. And actually, I want to kind of transition this now into, okay, professional athlete, skiing, messed up the knee 9 times, broke the neck twice. Oh my goodness. Now we're in real estate. What dad was doing, you thought it was miserable. Realtors were kind of just, another roadblock.
Dime a dozen.
Yeah, dime a dozen, right? So what made you decide like, hey, I'm going to go into this industry, but I'm going to attack it differently? Like, how'd you do that?
That's an excellent question. And when I quit skiing, I did have an identity crisis. I had no idea where I wanted to go in life. And my identity was so entrenched in what I did for so long that I didn't understand where I wanted to go. And I worked in the world of interior design for a little while and realized that I needed to be an entrepreneur, that everything I had learned in skiing were principles that would allow me to be good at being my own boss. But at the same time, I knew that, I mean, like you said, I had the most negative connotation about real estate. So it never even crossed my mind, to be completely honest. It was at the very bottom. And I sat down with a girlfriend and she was in real estate and she said, Athena, what are you doing? You love homes, you love design, you grew up in the industry, you love people. Why are you not in, and you want to be an entrepreneur? Like, why are you not in real estate? She kind of shook me and she said, look, just have lunch with the owner of my brokerage. I think that you guys are really going to connect from a business belief standpoint. And I really think that you would thrive working with him. Now, I sat down for lunch with this gentleman who's still my mentor today, over 11 years later. And I picked his brain over lunch. And he's one of those humans that just radiated sunshine. He was goodness in human form. But he sat down and he told me the good, the bad, and the ugly, but he taught me something about real estate that I didn't understand. And that was the value and importance of relationship-based business. And he taught me that real estate was not just being a corny car salesman, that real estate had the ability to help people build long-term financial wellness, that you could be the advocate for helping that person completely change their life, that you were creating relationships that lasted so far beyond the closing table, that they were lifelong relationships, that you were able to help people make one of the biggest investments of their life. And this was all a completely new outlook to me. And it rocked my world. I mean, I quit my job the next day. I was about to go in for my last knee surgery just to clean up. And I said, you know what? I'll get my real estate license done while I'm recovering from surgery. I'll be able to bang it out, really get it. I think 3 to 4 weeks, I completed 178 hours. And then I realized after taking the test and actually starting in real estate that I didn't know anything. The real estate test does not teach you how to be a successful agent.
Absolutely.
But what I did know is I needed a mentor. I needed a coach. I needed to follow someone who had a business that I wanted to base my business off of. And for me, that person was John, who I sat down to lunch with that day. And I said to him, what can I do to make your life easier? And in return, can I come on showings with you? Can I do open houses with you? Can I listen in on your phone calls? Can I help you make your pro formas? Can I help you do market analysis? And I followed every move he made for almost a year. And I attribute all my success 11 years later and to him allowing me to learn hands-on. Now, throughout my career, something that's always been pivotal is having coaches and having mentors. And I truly believe that I would be maybe half of the ability that I have now if I didn't have people that were looking at my business, looking at my day-to-day activities, helping me create actionable plans for all of my goals. Like you said, it's kind of like a New Year's resolution. You put it out there, but you never actually make an action plan on how you're going to accomplish it, because that makes it real. If I'm creating an action plan, then I actually have to follow it. But really, what coaches are so amazing at, and you can learn the discipline to do on your own, is create these big audacious goals, but then figure out, okay, if I want to accomplish this in 6 months, then what do I need to accomplish every month? And then from there, what does every week need to look like? And then from there, what activities do I need to be doing on a daily basis to make sure that I hit my weekly goal, my monthly goal, and then my ultimate goal? And I think that's something that, of any principle coaches have taught me. It's the value and importance of breaking your goals down into micro action steps.
So, Athena, a lot to unpack there, but I think what I want to ask you with what you just said, right? So, again, you're talking about the relationship building aspect of the business. And I think if you're in any type of entrepreneurial field, whether it's real estate or you opened up a small business or you're in a franchise, whatever it might be, networking is super important. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think
So,
intentional networking.
okay. Can you tell me what intentional networking is?
Yeah, so I can't tell you when I was young how many events I went to where it was almost like speed dating networking, where you've got a room of 250 people and you're just trying to get your business card out to as many as possible. Did I ever find success or build long-term relationships in those scenarios? No. But when I learned the value of whether you're in a huge networking event or whether you're sitting at a restaurant by yourself or a bar and you decide, hey, I'm going to start up a conversation with the person next to me, the value of making one or two really authentic, genuine interactions is far better networking than any speed networking will ever be, because that's actually creating that genuine relationship. And when you're in genuine relationship with someone, no matter what your business is, when someone needs that referral, you're the first person that's going to come to their mind because you took the time to listen, you took the time to build that relationship. So that's what I mean there.
I love that. So I've been a speaker at a couple different conferences, mostly real estate related, a couple podcast related. And one of the things that I always tell people, especially if I have a live audience in front of me, I always tell people, hey, reach into your pockets and pull out your phone and hold it up for me, right? And they hold up their phone and I say, do you know what that is? I said, that is one of the best CRM systems that you have right there in your pocket. You know
Amen.
why? There's going to be people that you meet here at this conference, right? You're going to get their number. It's going to be awesome, right? While you're in there, when you make their contact information, there's a little thing in there that says notes. You can put notes in there and remember specific things that you discussed with that individual, whether it's personal, professional, whatever. And I was
That's
like,
brilliant.
I do that. I do that with people that I meet. There's specific things that we talk about. If they told me something about their kids, I'll put that in there. So I remember, hey, I know Timmy had a soccer tournament shortly after the conference. How'd he do? And that right there, they're more than just a number. You know what I'm saying? It gives
I dropped the mic. I'm
Yeah.
sold. That is one of the
Yeah.
most brilliant. I will start implementing that immediately and talk about an action step.
Yeah, it's huge. And I tell people when you're at the conference, I know you said like two, but I always say, hey, 3 to 5 people.
Yeah.
Go meet 3 to 5 people and keep in touch with them. Make this your core group of people that you get out of this conference. Don't go searching for somebody that's light years ahead of you. Find somebody that maybe just got into this a year earlier than you, and maybe somebody else that's just getting started. And then maybe add someone else to the group that's maybe been doing it for 5 years, right? Diversify a little bit, but then also you're going to get little bits and pieces of that journey at different levels, and you can see where you fall in at and what you need to do to get to that next level. One, it's going to save you some money because it's going to help you not make some of the same mistakes that people before you have done. And two, it's going to get you in the right setting to where a good deal might pop up that you might have missed that someone else is going to catch and say, hey, I want to bring you into this. Right.
100%.
I feel like that piece, that building that relationship, like you said, that intentional networking is so huge. So I'm sorry, I wanted to jump on that.
No, you just changed my life. I cannot wait to start implementing that. And my mind is just going wild with, okay, then I put a task in my CRM and make sure that I'm following up with that person. And that is one of the most valuable tools you could give someone.
Aren't podcasts awesome, right?
Yes.
I look at my podcast as yes, I get to get some good and great wisdom and golden nuggets and great information, stuff that's really valuable, not only to my listeners, but also to me. I get to meet some amazing people and they come into my network. I keep in touch with a lot of the people that come on my show.
Yeah, you're stuck with me.
And I feel like it's one of the selfish things I get as a podcast host, right? Is that I get to really go in here and capture a lot of success that other people have in their story and share that with other people. And only helps build up, I guess, my entrepreneurial and networking resume, so to speak, right?
And then that's the gift that every listener
Yeah,
gets as well as your guests.
exactly. I'm really hoping that people listening right now are like, whoa, okay, we're getting some good stuff out of this one.
Me
So,
too.
yeah, awesome. So, okay, so we got the networking piece, right? There's more than just that, than you need to be a successful entrepreneur, or in your case, a successful real estate agent as well, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you see that separates the person that just went and got their license and said, okay, I'm a real estate agent now, I'm going to go do it, versus someone like you who said, I'm going to apply the disciplines that I've learned before I was in real estate. I'm going to apply all of that into this, and I'm going to attack it differently. So what do you think sets you guys apart?
I really attribute a lot of that to coaching. I've been a part of many coaching groups throughout my career, but what I learned from a very early age, I guess, in real estate was, first of all, there are so many shiny objects in this industry, and it's hard not to get sidetracked by every new company or different technology that comes about. And that's not to say that I think one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is to continue learning, and not just through your CE credits that obviously you should be doing, but what can you do to learn about how the emergence of AI is affecting real estate, and how can I utilize it to grow my business? Never stop learning. But I think at the same time, we have a tendency to, rather than be consistent with the basics, we overcomplicate, have our eye like too many balls in the air, and then we don't execute one simple things well. And what I learned from a very early time in real estate was the importance of understanding what my specific gifts and talents were. So it tends to hear a one size fits all model, at least when you're beginning in real estate, of like make 100 phone calls a day and do 40 open houses and mainly a lot of phone calls was what I was getting. And what I realized, and what my coaches helped me realize, is that if you are not doing activities that feel authentic to you, if you're not doing activities that are enjoyable, and making that a consistent daily activity that you're logging and tracking. So for me, it was, how many face-to-face interactions am I having a week? How many meals or breaking breads am I having a week? How many phone calls within my sphere, my CRM, am I making? And how many cold calls am I making? How many open houses am I doing a week? For me, I love writing handwritten notes. So how many handwritten notes was I writing a day? How many hours was I prospecting? I created with my coach basically a tracker, a log of all of the activities that I wanted to be doing on a daily basis for a week. And I'd print it out at the beginning of every week. They called it their greatness tracker. I've kind of evolved it over time to include not only business, but am I taking care of myself? Am I going to the gym enough times a week? Am I drinking water? Am I eating clean? The basics of how am I going to be the most successful person possible if I am doing things consistently? What do those things need to look like? So coaches really helped me understand what my strengths were, where I should be spending my time, and then what I should not be spending my time on, what I should be delegating, because I was under the impression, being a one-person sport and an athlete, that I needed to get everything done myself, and I needed to do it perfectly. And there's just no way. I mean, we all have strengths, and we all have things that we should understand that other people can do better, and delegate those. So my coaches helped me get really clear on what it was that my skill set was, what I needed to work on, and what I needed to let go of, and then how I could implement that into my daily life, and then hold me accountable to it. It was as simple as doing the basics consistently.
I love that. The basics can be something we say in the Navy, at least closer to when I was retiring. There was always this thing about being brilliant on the basics, right? And that's what makes you a more effective warfighter, more lethal, right? Because if you're brilliant on the basics, when the other complicated things come, the basic stuff's done already. Now you can focus solely on attacking the more complicated task that's now in front of you. And I think part of that, Athena, as you're saying, is not only that it's the discipline piece, right? Yeah, again, you're coming back to that with the coaches. It's your willingness to listen, right? But also the discipline to act upon the advice that they're giving you and actually really hold yourself accountable, right? So
Exactly.
you're sitting here. I know you said you created a log of activities. You were tracking how many cold calls you were making and how these leads were coming in, and tracking like how you contacted them, how often you were contacting them, what kind of responses were you getting, right?
Yes.
And by building that kind of basic rhythm, it made it so that's just a regular day, right? You come in, that is
Exactly.
just your everyday, this is what I'm going to do. And I know to get this deal, to get this contract, I know I have to make this many phone calls. I need to
Yep.
meet this many people. I need to go sit down and have this many cups of coffee, right?
Exactly.
I need to make sure I go to the gym every day, right?
Mhm.
Because if I'm not in a good mental state because I didn't get my workout in today, I don't want to be,
Mm.
talking in circles when I'm sitting down with a client because I'm in a mood or
Exactly.
whatever, right?
Exactly.
So you built this like kind of battle rhythm. It's what we call in the military, right? A battle rhythm of the things that you
Ooh,
have to
I like
focus
that.
on, right? And then I think more importantly is when you realize, hey, there are certain things that are eating my time that maybe someone else can do, that someone else can help me with. And that's that delegation piece, right? And I think that is super important. I think a lot of people really miss that. I can tell you when I was a real estate agent, thank God for transaction coordinators, right? Because there were certain things I'm just like, my goodness, I can't sit here and do all of this stuff. I got too much to do, right?
Amen.
So yes, get yourself a good TC if you're a real estate agent. But anyway, I think these are all very key points to hone in on. And I want to say, like, as you started building this and you built your battle rhythm and you built your schedule and how you're doing things, I want to throw a wrench in there. Like, what
Yeah.
happens when you encounter a situation where, you're going through all of your standard stuff and then like, hey, day before closing, buyer pulls out because something happened, or is the J1 inspection, something came back and it's like, well, I can't go through with it anymore.
Yeah.
When you get that wrench thrown, your reaction is important. So tell me, what's that look like for Athena?
Oh my goodness. It has evolved so much for the better, luckily. And I think anyone in this business can relate to the stress that comes with those phone calls, especially at the beginning, especially through illness. I've had a very heightened nervous system. I was very good at putting on a very cool, calm, and collected face, but internally it was absolutely eating me alive. And like you
Fireworks are
said,
going.
yeah, I'm just having like visions of raging and how is this going to happen? And because anything that can go wrong at some point will go wrong. But what you don't realize getting started or until you've experienced something of that gravity is that you can get through, like, everything is going to work out, whether that's the way you think it was going to work out or not. It might look different than what you expected. But what I've learned is that going back to the beginning, when you say you don't know what you don't know, experience builds confidence. And when you've been in the business and experienced more and more fires that seem like they're never ending, really, you start to understand and build that toolkit of how you're going to handle things. And what I realized very quickly was that I needed to bounce situations, ideas, responses off of someone that I trusted, because my initial response to something tended to be a little bit fiery. Now, I wasn't bawling out other agents or anything like that, but it would internally, it wasn't a good feeling. I would get very bad anxiety. And what I realized is that by talking through situations with people that might have been through something similar, or even just a managing broker that has a great knowledge base, or a mentor that has seen everything under the sun, that even just the act of talking something out, when you're hearing yourself out loud in problem solving, you create so many more solutions than you would if you were just going over something in your own head over and over again. And oftentimes, I think when we're simply reacting to a situation solely on our own, we tend to get a little bit egotistical and we tend to get very defensive and not collaborative in terms of how can we put this together and how can we figure this out as a team. One of the greatest tools that I learned from a very young age from my mentor was when you don't know something or you need maybe a third party's outside perspective, the greatest thing you can do is say, I need a little bit of time and I'll get back to you. Or, hey, I actually don't have an answer for you right now, but if you give me 4 hours, I will get back to you after talking to the expert and make sure that I get you the best possible information. So I've learned that when something is going completely astray, first of all, unfortunately, as disciplined with our schedules as we try to be, and I try and get my greatness tracker, my log done as early in the day as possible, or the majority of it. I usually end up finishing in the evening. There are going to be things that throw a wrench in my day and change my schedule completely. And it could be a deal blowing up that's supposed to close the next day. And in that case, I used to try and either put the fire off until I'd accomplished my daily tasks, in which case I wouldn't be present in actually accomplishing my tasks. I would be thinking about the fire the whole time and it wasn't productive. Or I would be saying, okay, I'll just do double tomorrow. I'll catch up tomorrow. But that wouldn't work either. So instead of negating that day's activities, I would simply say, okay, I'm going to have to spend the next 2 to 4 hours on dealing with this issue. I'm going to talk to my mentor. I'm going to talk to my coach. I'm going to really get some great ideas. I'm going to role play with my team on how this conversation could go. And then I'm going to handle it. But after that, from this time to this time, if I need to rearrange my day, I will. But these are the activities that I have to get done because I notice and I know from over the years that when my business has the biggest ebbs and flows, as real estate tends to do, it's when I'm not consistently doing the activities that I know fill my pipeline and bring me business. When I'm doing my daily activities and following my plan, my business doesn't have the huge ebbs and flows. It's much more consistent and it consistently grows. My business, when I'm doing what I say I'm going to do, when I committed to, my business is growing significantly every year. It doesn't matter what the market is doing. It means that I'm putting in the time and the effort to make sure that my business is going to be successful. But that doesn't mean that I don't know if it's possible in real estate to have a fixed schedule that you follow no matter what. I think you have to give yourself the flexibility and the grace to handle things as they come up because this is a time-sensitive matter. Sure, no one's going to die. I used to have an ex-boyfriend that was a neurosurgeon, and he would say, anyone going to die today, Athena? And I'm like, just because no one's going to die doesn't mean this isn't stressful. But it was true. I mean, on his table, people could lose their life. So at the end of the day, no one's going to die. But I'm going to take these 3 hours to make sure that I am coming up with the best possible solution for my client to make sure I'm representing them as their fiduciary in the highest and best form I can be. But that doesn't mean that I get to cop out of doing the activities that make me the best that I can be later on in the day. So it's all about really understanding like what your priorities are, where your time needs to be spent. And if it means that, you have to reschedule something that's later in the day that doesn't rank in the top 3 of your important tasks, then you're going to reschedule that and make time for what does matter and make sure that you're getting that consistency in, because I guarantee a couple of months of consistent action daily, your business is going to completely transform. Again, market doesn't matter what the market is. If you're putting in the work and consistently, you're going to find success.
Wow. I feel
Drop
motivated right now. Yeah, drop the mic right there. Yeah, that just motivated me right there. Wow. I feel
that makes me so happy.
Yeah, like I need to take a look at my schedule and I need to make sure that I'm actually accomplishing the things that I'm setting out to accomplish every day. Like
it's tough.
I can't be skipping the gym no more either. So
That
yeah,
keeps the
that's getting me
mental
motivated
game
right there.
strong.
Heck
Honestly,
yeah, heck yeah.
it's the greatest gift.
This is gonna be one of those podcast episodes that, like, hey, if you're a real estate agent, like you need to listen to this episode. So
I hope so.
yeah, this is good stuff. We're not even gonna get to all the stuff I want to get to.
We could go round 2 someday.
We're
It's
gonna
been
have
such a
to, 'cause
pleasure.
this is some really good stuff. So
I'm
and I got
glad.
like a whole page of notes here. But anyway, Athena,
Mhm.
wow, that last bit right there, I gotta say, like I said, it was very motivating for me, and I'm certain it's gonna be motivating for a lot of my listeners that hear that and say, I think that again, it's gonna come back to that discipline, right?
Yeah.
You are very disciplined. So congratulations
Thank
to you
you.
on that.
Thank
Because that is
you.
one of the biggest things that I think has contributed to the huge success that you've had as a real estate agent out there in Denver. So
Yeah.
wow,
Thank you. It
kudos to
means a
you.
lot.
I want to take this time now and I want to ask you like 100 more questions, but I can't. And transition this into the final round where I'm going to ask you the same 4 questions I ask everybody that comes on the show. And it gives us a good idea of how Athena is under a little bit of pressure. We'll see some of that anxiety come out. No, I'm kidding. It's
Oh,
not that
you
bad.
will.
It's not that
Bring
bad. It's not that
bring
bad.
it.
All right. All right. She said, bring it. So it's going to get brought. Here we go. So the first question of the final round for you, Athena, is what's the biggest mistake that you've ever made when it comes to your finances or business life?
Absolutely. So I was horrible at using a credit card for everything and anything. And that meant every shiny object that came up in real estate, basically like dime a dozen coaching programs and anything you could think of. I was just racking up credit card debt and I knew better. And it was a tough hole to dig out of. And I think being really intentional with tracking your finances and understanding where your money's going and your box, so to speak, of what you can invest each month in your career is so pivotal because I did not do that well when I began.
I love that honesty and I love that answer because it just shows how no matter what you do, you can feel like you're doing the right thing.
Yep.
But if you're doing what you think is the right thing, but making the wrong choice while doing it, it's going to catch up
Exactly.
to you.
And it does.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate that because while coaching is important, it's important that you get the right coach and that you get
Because
the
there
right
are
mentor.
so many.
Exactly. Don't
Do
just
your
jump
research,
into the
folks.
first shiny thing that
Yeah.
shows up. So yeah, I love that. Okay. This next question, you're going to see these kind of tie into each other. And what is something that you've learned that you wish you knew when you first started out?
Man, I wish something I've learned is the art of balance. And well, something I'm learning, I should say, because I don't know that you ever truly find balance in this business. Coming from an athletic background, had a tendency to work myself absolutely into the ground. And being in real estate where you're an entrepreneur and you get in what you get out what you put in, you can lose absolutely every aspect of your life other than real estate. And for a certain time period, I think that it is necessary to go all in if you want to be successful. And I think that as a successful agent, there is always a struggle for balance. But I have learned the hard way that if I don't take care of my body and if I don't take care of my mind and I'm not finding at least some semblance of balance and making sure that I'm doing the activities that are going to keep refueling me, that I will crash and burn and my clients will suffer because I'm not going to be at my best. I will obviously suffer because I'm probably feeling so run down I can't even think, and my body is fighting illness already, so I probably won't be able to function. So I would tell myself a lot earlier to take balance seriously and take self-care seriously, because when it goes wrong, it goes wrong.
Yeah, and it goes wrong fast.
I mean, it'll flip your world upside down before you know it, and not in a fun way.
Yeah, no, that's huge. That's huge. The taking care of yourself. Yeah, it's great to go all in on something, but don't forget about why you're going all in on something. Don't forget the other piece of that, which is you, right? Don't
Exactly.
forget about yourself. So yeah, that's huge. Okay. All right, Athena, the next question is, do you have any tips or tricks that you would recommend to someone that is just getting started today?
Something we've already talked about. Find someone whose business you admire. Do your research. Sit down with multiple agents and find that person you connect with and honestly ask them how you can make their life easier. And in return, if you can watch everything that they do for, even if it's just a couple of days a week of shadowing that person, the best thing that you can do to learn is to watch and to learn hands-on. And they'll show you what it takes to build out your CRM, and they'll show you what it looks like, what daily activities you should be doing, and help role. It's really like role play, being able to listen to them in conversations with clients, take notes. I mean, literally learn anything you possibly can from the people that inspire you, and they're going to learn just as much by being around you. I promise you that. So it's a mutually beneficial thing.
I love that. I love, you don't hear people talk about that too much. Like, hey, role play these scenarios out. And how would you react in this situation if your client said this or they said this?
It's so valuable.
Yeah, 100%. So I love that answer. So
great.
Okay. So the final question of the final round. All right. This one's a doozy. No, I'm just kidding. It's an easy one. Do you have a favorite business, investing, or real estate related book or podcast or both?
Oh my goodness. Does it have to, can it be like self-development book?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because I'm obsessed right now with Atomic Habits by James Cleary. I believe that's his last name. And I mean, the concept of how can I be 1% better every day? Because like we said, I think it's so easy to set these massive goals and then fall short because you quit like 2 weeks in. But if you're waking up every day and saying, how can I be 1% better? Then the amount of growth and the amount you accomplish after a year of being 1% better every day is astronomically more than anything else. So that is something that I'm currently just like, my brain will not let go of. So that I would say Atomic Habits. It's a must read.
I was looking behind me to see, to find it, but I forgot it's on my nightstand because I'm reading it right now too.
Oh, I love it so
funny.
much.
That is so
We're
funny.
on the same wavelength.
All right,
That's
awesome.
amazing.
So Athena, that's it for the final round. So you can pat yourself on the back, like I said. But I do have another question I want to ask you. And for my listeners here, this is probably the most important question that I'm going to ask you because we've talked about some amazing things. You've really added a lot of value, I think, to my audience right now. And I think some of them are like, hey, we want to know more. So with that said, where can people find more information about you? Can you share your website with us? Any social media profiles we can follow, anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, I don't bite. So anyone and everyone, please feel free to reach out. I would love to connect in any way possible. I'm going to give you my website because it has all of my contact information on it and socials. And it's www.athena, Athena Brownson, Brownson, realtor.com. That's also my Instagram handle, Athena Brownson Realtor. And I put out like a daily video with a tip, trick, some information about real estate. But I'm here to be a sounding board. So feel free to reach out anytime.
Awesome. Absolutely love that. For my audience, you guys know the drill. I'm going to put this stuff in the show notes, make it easy for you to copy and paste or click away. But like I said, you know the drill. If you're driving, please don't do it while you're driving. Wait till you're in a safe place. But hey, Athena, to close things out, do you have any final thoughts for the audience today?
I hope that I brought a little tidbit of value to everyone out there. Honestly, let's do this again because it's been so wonderful. You're absolutely a joy to speak with. And I would just say, as difficult as anything could be right now for anyone, just remember that the times that you learn and grow the most in life are when things are not comfortable. And the more that you can lean into that uncomfortable experience or time or difficulties in your life, the greater the character building that is going to occur and the more that you're going to learn about who you are as a person. So whatever it is that anyone's going through, whether it's a tough real estate market or economy, whatever it is, lean in. This is the time to put the work in and really believe in yourself.
Wow. That was powerful. What a closeout. Thank you so much for that.
Of course.
Amazing. Athena, you have been an amazing guest. I thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us and share one, an amazing story, but two, some really great, valuable information that I think that there's going to be a lot of great takeaways
I'm
from
so
this
glad.
episode. Thank you so much.
No, and thank you. You're an absolutely amazing host, and
Thank you.
you're definitely coming to visit in the North Shore.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, I also want to thank all of our listeners. I want to thank you all so much for joining me and our special guest, Athena Brownson, on the Average Joe Finances podcast. This is the time for you to go leave us a 5-star review and tell us what you liked about today's specific episode with Athena, and go to her page and go follow her and check out all of her awesome social media posts and her website. So aloha
Thank
from
you.
Hawaii, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for making it to the end of this episode. Greatly appreciate you being here with me today on the Average Joe Finances podcast. If you haven't done so yet, make this the episode that you go leave us a 5-star rating or subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Average Joe Finances podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Have an outstanding day.